I've powered up the time machine again today because we're going to take a look at a gadget from the past. This one comes from 1988 and it is the Sony D-88 Discman. Now generally it wouldn't be worth me making a video about an old portable CD player because they're not particularly interesting, but that is a CD single, that is a CD album. And if you look at the size of the device compared to a CD album or 12cm CD 5-inch, you'll see it's actually too big to fit inside the machine itself. And that is why this is an interesting machine, because it's the Sony Pocket Discman, the smallest Discman ever made. Now, to use the device, you could either plug power in on the side there, but I'm going to slide the battery pack on the back. You'll have noticed in the advert before there wasn't any battery pack on there, which of course makes it look smaller. A little bit of an advertising trick from the time, but to use it you need to put that battery pack on the back there, which makes it quite a little bit larger. I suppose quite a few people watching this have never bought a CD single that was on an 8cm CD. If they ever did buy one, it was probably on a 12cm or 5-inch CD, the same size as the album ones. I suppose in the early days of the CD era, the disc manufacturers presumed that singles had to be smaller than albums, just like they had with the vinyl era. But later on, presumably, the cost of making the mini CDs either cost more or the same as the full-size ones, so you might as well just knock them out on the full-size discs, and that's what we ended up with later on. Of course, mini CDs still got issued occasionally as novelty items. And it's some of those more recent novelty mini CDs that you'll see in this video, because I couldn't find my old 80s mini CDs anywhere, so I had to buy a bundle off eBay of the more recent ones. But as you can see, the CD player functions exactly how you'd expect. You've got fast forward, rewind, track skip, that repeat button that no one ever uses, and then we've got the whole thing to stop the buttons getting pressed if you were using it in your pocket, which you can't really do because it skips if you carry it around. Got the volume control on the corner there, remote input. If you had the remote control, you could plug it in there and do those track skips and things, and of course headphone out. But anyway, that's a mini CD. Let's see what it looks like when we play back a full-size CD. Notice the spindle looks a bit strange there, and I'll explain what's going on. On the bottom here, you've got a slider which switches between the 8cm and the 12cm size. You've got to push it down, slide it across. It moves that spindle from the position it was up to the edge of the machine. You can see we left a hole there in that now. And then the additional thing that we have to do is adjust this guard here. This blue guard that's around the edge. The idea is, of course, that keeps dust out and things when it's playing those mini CDs, but if you want to play a full-size album, you're going to have to move that out of the way. So it hinges like this, and then you just push it back and clip it in the corner there. Now, the big appeal of this machine is what it looks like when it's playing 12cm CDs. You won't find another machine like it on the market, because once you put the CD in there, it sticks out of the corner. And you think, well, that's not a particularly good idea, having a CD exposed. Well, maybe it isn't, but it looks damn cool. You would never get a manufacturer bringing something like this out nowadays, with that exposed CD spinning up to 480 revolutions per minute exposed from the side of the machine. Of course, it always looks better when it's playing something with interesting art on the CD. See if you can figure out what this album is from the art that's spinning around. Perhaps a little bit too tricky, so let's plug it into a speaker and then play back some music, see if you can figure it out then. Yes, that's right, you've been listening to 2001 by Dr. Dre. Now, this isn't the first time that Sony brought out a music player that was too small to fit the actual format inside it. The Sony WN10 Walkman couldn't fit a cassette inside it unless you expanded it out. And perhaps the most similar device to the Sony D-88 is the Sony PS-Q7 or Q5 turntables that couldn't fit a full-size album inside them. In fact, they couldn't even fit a single inside them, as you can see here. And this shows Sony learning and iterating on ideas from their past, because of course the Discman can hold a single inside it. This Sony PS-Q7 automatic turntable could have held a single in it if they'd have thought of that sliding spindle idea back when they brought this model out. But talking about that sliding spindle, that's probably one of the main points of failure in a D-88 Walkman. You can only move mechanical devices like these so many times before something goes wrong. I've noticed also the ribbon cable in the hinge there seems to be a bit crumpled, which might explain why my digits don't always show up correctly. And as is common with Discman from this era, they are very susceptible to skipping.
cooler than the water in a swimming pool. I like a R to the A, the U, and the L. Pushing more power than a Duracell.
And of course, avoid touching the disc.
So check out the beat and listen to the sound. And if you're from the Bronx, just boogie down.
Probably because of these issues, as well as of course the age of the device, most D88s that you find on eBay will be sold as not working. Occasionally you might find one where someone says they haven't tested it, but you can pretty much guarantee this one won't be working either. However, there is salvation because it's such a collectible device. People really like the D88 that there are people out there that specialise in repairing them at a considerable cost, of course. Now, there was another big stumbling block buying an old Discman, and that was the batteries. At the time, Sony used NiCad batteries, which over the years have pretty much all failed. They don't make this battery anymore, so you're pretty much stuffed. However, I have managed to get hold of this one, and it's a bit special. It came from a place on eBay that find the old batteries that don't work anymore and then replace the internals with lithium ions. And these people are the only ones that I know that are doing this. They don't cost a bit, but it means you can actually go ahead and use your old Discman again without having to use it from a power supply. So that's an invaluable service. I've got a link to them in the video description. If you want to get hold of an old CD Discman, then you'll need to buy a battery from them or get very lucky with the ones that are included with it. So we've reached the end of this video about the Sony D-88 Discman, and I hope you have enjoyed this look at an unusual little CD player from the past. A CD player that in some ways is smaller than a CD itself. Of course, no one will be able to bring anything out like this nowadays. It would have to be twice as big just to fit on all the warning stickers about not slicing your own face off with it. Anyway, if you want your own slice of the past, I've got links up in the video description to the D88 on eBay, and happy hunting, but be sure to remember that you've got to look carefully because not many of these are still working nowadays. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.
Yet another YouTuber that's posted incorrect information in a video. Time for me to post a comment to put this right. Oh, this is like a full-time job. In the title for your video, you state that this device is smaller than a CD, when in fact an 8cm CD will fit inside the device. In addition, you state it's the smallest Walkman ever made, when I put it to you that some of the later Walkmans that had a smaller built-in battery pack, when you include that in the equation and work out the overall volume, those would be smaller overall. Please tell me you're not posting those negative comments on YouTube again. I've told you about that. Those people are just there trying to provide free entertainment. They don't need to hear your negative nonsense. No, I'm not being negative, just incredibly pedantic. Everyone loves someone who's pedantic. Hold on a minute. 6 people have already posted that same comment before yours. Why didn't you read them? I don't have to read other people's comments. They just have to read my comment. Mine's the most important comment on there. But he's already responded to them and said, yes, it might not be the smallest CD Walkman ever made, however, it's the smallest Discman. Discman was a brand name that Sony used before they went back to using CD Walkmans later on in the life of the CD. Damn you, Techmoan, I'll get you next time.